I'm waiting for it to turn blue. Oh, there it is. Okay. And well, hello everybody. Welcome to my third interview. Varuka says hi too. My third interview in my series of an interview with. Tonight I'm joined by the one, the only, Schrodinger's cat. Hi, Schrodinger. You there, sir? Is he there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was busy typing in the comment section,
Okay.
and I was on a whole. My cursor was on a whole different screen. I had to scroll over here so that I could unmute and speak. But hello, everybody. Happy to be here.
And as usual, I am joined by dear sweet Clippy, who's going to be hard at work as usual here. Clippy, hi.
Hello, Marvel. Hello, Schrodinger. Hello, Bobby, if you're still here.
And of course, a special guest tonight is our dear Robert. Can you say hi, hon? Or what?
I can say hi. I can say what's up. I can say hey, how you doing?
So stupid. This is a cast of characters
Oh
for
no,
tonight.
baby, ain't nothing stupid here.
Oh my God.
Oh no, baby.
He's got the whole Louisiana thing going on tonight.
I got to get back and take care of the children.
Yeah, go do your work.
We're gonna make groceries and then we're gonna make interviews.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
So thank y'all for coming. And before I get into the meat of the matter, Richard Norris is here, a very special friend. I just got the box. I just got the box today from Amazon with the most beautiful dog bed ever for Varuka. She thanks you. I thank you, and I'm taking pictures as I set it up, and I'll be sharing with all of you. Thanks so much, Richard. Really, it's just gorgeous. She's saying thank you, is what she's saying. I have no more. Okay. So, we're going to be asking Schrodinger all kinds of questions tonight. And if you have questions that I haven't maybe thought of, or just something you want to know, tag Clifford Reynolds, and if time permits, we shall ask him. Of course, super chats take top priority, and they will be asked right away. So be generous and ask a lot of questions, I guess. Okay. So Schrodinger, are you ready for this?
Of course. As I told you before, I will tell you anything that is not classified.
Right. Not classified? That's no fair. All right.
Yeah, I like being outside of jail.
Yeah. Leavenworth's not the place you want to hang out.
No.
Is that the thing? Is that where they'd send you?
Yeah, for federal crime, that's one of the. I mean, there's other federal prisons, but that's the most famous one at Fort Leavenworth, Kentucky.
Okay.
Kentucky, Kansas. Sorry.
See, you would have had me fooled. I have no idea.
It's Kansas, yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's start at the beginning, sir. Tell me about, I guess, Schrodinger's kitten. Are you part of a big family?
Well, you mean my nuclear family,
right,
immediate family, like when I was a kid?
Siblings, even if
Yeah.
you're close to aunts and uncles and cousins, even, like, were they close knit, big family, or what?
I would say it was a big family. So it was almost like the Brady Bunch. So I've got my dad and had my brother and I, and then he married my stepmom, which was before I was, conscious, like before I had memories that I hold to this day.
Oh wow!
So to me, she's mom. She's mom. And she had my brother Joey and my sister Cindy. Cindy was the oldest, and it was the three of us boys. So the 4 kids. There was a pretty wide age range. Cindy was, I think she's probably 11 years older than I am, I think.
Okay.
And I was the youngest, and Joey has since passed.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's a bad story. We don't want to talk about that.
No, we won't talk about
A sudden heart attack. But yeah, we were pretty tight, all of us. So yeah, that happened. My dad worked at the Newport News shipyard, which is funny because my sister works at Newport News shipyard. My next oldest brother works at Newport News shipyard, and I fly around the country working at shipyards. So it's kind of a family thing.
that. Cute. So as a kid, what did you enjoy? Like, did you play? Like, have a favorite toy? Did you have a favorite game? Were you into playing outside? Like tell us how you spend your day as a kid.
So we lived in a neighborhood in Hampton, Virginia, on a cul-de-sac, and there was lots of kids in the neighborhood. So it was one of those childhoods where you got up in the morning, you jumped on your bicycle, and your parents
Wow.
didn't see you again until it was time to come home in the evening.
Wow.
I rode my bicycle so much as a kid that about once a year, my dad had to change the tires because I would wear them all the way to the point where they were popping the tube that was inside the tire.
Dude, that you had like a
Yeah,
dream childhood. Okay, cool.
it was sort of like in the 1970s, slash 80s movies as a kid,
Yeah.
where all the kids are on bicycles riding everywhere.
It's like
I grew up.
Lean on Me without the dead body.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
So yeah, I grew up in the 80s, so that's what we did. And there were no cell phones. The best your parents could do was call around to all your friends' houses if they
Yeah.
were trying to look for you.
Yeah, I remember that because yeah, I grew up without cell phones too, and we played outside and didn't come in until our parents yelled for us at dark. So yeah. Um, and I love that kind of stuff. So all right, so then how about school? Can you tell us? Were you a good student? Did you get good grades? Were you, mischievous? Were you like Dennis the Menace? Like, what'd you do? Tell us about it.
So up through graduation of high school, I was a shit student
Mm.
because I was incredibly lazy and apathetic when it came to schoolwork,
Okay.
which is why I didn't opt for college after graduation. I joined the Navy,
Right
but
away.
somehow, well, I graduated in June. I left for boot camp in October.
Jeez. Okay.
So there was a little bit of a gap there. Um, but somehow I still tested high enough on the what the military calls the ASVAB, which is the I can't remember the whole acronym, but it's an aptitude test.
Right.
It's sort of like the
Yes.
SAT. Um, yeah, Rob, you may remember what the ASVAB stands for.
I don't remember what it stands for. I do remember it being a. All right, this is no
It's how
disrespect
they
to
place
anybody
you,
who may
right?
have. It's an aptitude test.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
that's
use
all
it
it is.
for they use it for determining your placement, like what jobs you're allowed to pursue. And I don't know about you, man, but I found that test to be a joke. Like, I don't remember what my exact score was, but I do remember that I was in like the top 5%.
Yeah. So
Do you,
I tested very high on it. Um,
You
do you want to
obviously
know?
I,
did. You tested high enough to be an officer, so
yeah.
You're an
I would
officer.
disagree with you a little bit because there's more than a few people that fail it and don't even
exactly.
qualify for military service. So,
Really?
oh yes, yeah, that's a
That's why I wanted to say I don't mean any disrespect by it. Now, I've always been really, really like I excel at taking standardized tests, so that
Oh, okay.
you can take that for what it is. But
Okay.
I just couldn't believe how many people I spoke to in my military career who absolutely dreaded that test and didn't do well at all on it, and it just kind of shocked me. I thought it was a very easy test.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Sean
So
Zeke in
a
the
super long way of saying, oh, go ahead, Cliff.
I was going to say, Sean Zeke in the chat says it stands for Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery.
Aptitude battery. There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to Schrodinger. Go
I
ahead.
used to be able to just rattle it off, but anyway, long way of saying I scored high enough that I was able to go to the aviation electronics technician school
Okay.
after boot camp, which is really what I wanted to do because I was already into like tinkering with electronics. And I was working at a lumber yard with a retired Navy chief, and he said, if you want to learn electronics, go into the military. And so he went with me to the recruiter because, and I've done this myself with young people, that way the recruiter can't bullshit you.
Yeah, because I remember, because I was going to join the military, if you don't know what you're signing, you could sign away to do everything you don't want to do. Like you gotta know what to ask for, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was there with a retired chief.
Good.
So the recruiter was kind of had his hands tied behind his back and had to give me what I wanted. So they offered me two different things. They offered me aviation electronics or a electronics technician as a nuke on a submarine.
Ooh.
And I'm so glad that I picked aviation electronics. Wow. So that's that's how that happened. So I had a vested interest in doing really well in that school because when you fail out of your A school in the Navy, you get sent straight to the fleet without a job, which basically means you do all the crap work until they can replace you somewhere in the fleet with an actual A school. It's called being undesignated. You're basically working in deck department doing whatever you're told. So that's when my aptitude, first became a real thing. And then as I was going through my 22 years of military service, that's when I got all my actual college done and, got the A's and B's that I should have gotten in high school, but I was just too lazy. So long answer to your short question. I apologize.
No, this is what we're here for. So what rank did you hold when you left?
So when I was enlisted, I went from E1 all the way through to E6. And then when I was in E6, which is a moderately high enlisted pay grade, you get a certain amount of respect being an E6. That's when I got picked up for the officer program. Mm-hmm. So from there, I went to university. I already had my associate's degree, so I only had to do 2 more years. I got my electrical engineering degree from Old Dominion University, and then got commissioned as an officer. And so I was what we call in the Navy an ensign, which would be a second lieutenant for all the Army, Marine Corps, Air Force people. I went 01 to 02 to 03, and those are there's a special pay grade for those for prior enlisted people. So 01E, 02E, 03E, and that's where I retired at the 22-year mark.
Yeah, you guys, your rank, Navy and Air Force ranks always confuse the living hell out of me.
I don't understand what those are, hon. Yeah, can you tell me with something that we'd know what they were? Because I don't understand what those are.
He just basically told you that as simply as he possibly could.
Really?
Yeah, in the Army, Marine Corps, Air Force, I would have been called a captain.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
He's basically a third or fourth level if you count first and second lieutenants in the Army.
Okay.
Officer.
So
when I was at Fort Bragg, when I was at JSOC, all day long I would get called captain, and our captain in the Navy is an 06, so it's a way higher, way higher rank. Yeah.
Is ensign 01?
Basically
ensign is 01. Yeah.
So
Yeah, a captain in the Navy is basically the equivalent to a lieutenant colonel in the Army, right? Or a full bird colonel.
A full colonel. Yeah.
Yeah.
cool. So what made you choose the Army? I mean, the Navy over like Army, Marines, or anything else?
Probably the influence of, I was working at the lumberyard with the retired Navy chief. So,
Right.
um, in retrospect, I think it was a good decision. The
Absolutely.
Army, in my opinion, doesn't take great care of their people.
They don't.
The Marine Corps that I worked really closely with, because Navy aviation and Marine Corps aviation are kind of connected at the hip. Marine Corps aviation, they go on aircraft carriers, so we work with them all the time and everything. I always had a lot of Marines around me when I was an enlisted guy. The Air Force is so specialized that you kind of do say you're going to take a wheel off of an aircraft. There's a guy that comes out and he removes all the bolts, and then there's another guy that comes out and he pulls the wheel off. The Air Force is really great at taking care of their people, but they're really shit at promoting their people.
Okay.
So true. So true.
Yeah, I think I made the correct decision going Navy. It worked out in the long run.
Can I expound on something you said?
Sure.
You
It's not my show. What am I saying?
You nailed it when you said that the Army is the worst among the military ranks at taking care of its individual soldiers. I don't know how many of you were paying attention. I think it was last week after the Capitol raid, and they activated all those National Guardsmen. They had 5,000 troops, and originally they were housing them in the basement and in the sublets of the Capitol building. Well, they kicked them all out. So the higher ups found them, shoved 5,000 soldiers into a parking garage with 2 toilets and one electrical outlet for 5,000 people. So
yeah, and
they definitely
a quick story. A counterpoint to that is how the Air Force treats their people.
Oh, they all live in hotels.
So I was in Pascagoula, Mississippi, on base there. I was going to a combat school, and so there was a whole bunch of sailors there, and there was some Air Force and other things. And so our E6 and below got put in the barracks, which weren't that great. I mean, especially for like an E6 being in these barracks, the same barracks room that an E1 would be sleeping in, wasn't actually great conditions for them, for somebody of that rank. And chiefs and officers, we were staying at the Navy Lodge, which is a hotel owned by the Navy. A pretty nice hotel, think of just sort of like where I'm living right now in the Executive Inn. And I come out of my room one morning, and an Air Force E5 is coming out of the room right across the hall from me. Exact same style room that I'm staying in. He's an Air Force E5, and he comes out. He's like, "Hey, good morning, sir." I'm like, what you're staying like right there? Just because he was Air Force, they were lodging him in a place that the Navy was lodging chiefs and officers. That's the difference in how different services take care of their people.
I've always heard that, like that guy, Angry Cops, will always say that about Air Force. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But they don't promote very fast. I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions to that rule, but a lot of their enlisted people have trouble. They'll do 20 years as and retire as an E5. So I think it's a give and take there. Plus, we all make fun of them.
E5 is just a basic sergeant, right?
No, an E5 in the Air Force is staff sergeant.
Oh, okay. E5 in the Army it's Army enlisted sergeant.
Okay.
But if you're in the Army or the Marine Corps, a staff sergeant's an E6. So it gets really complicated.
Yeah.
Okay, so, God, I lost my train of thought because of everything. I don't understand any of that. It's like Greek to me. So, but thank you. Um, so now you said you're 22 years in, right?
Yeah, I retired in 2017,
Okay.
January 1st.
When abouts did you meet your lovely wife?
So when I went to Fort Bragg, um, actually before I went to Fort Bragg, I had recently divorced, and my cousin who lives in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where Fort Bragg is, she knew that I was coming, and she was like, "I got a friend," and so it all started with text messages, and so I met her in 2014 when I went to Fort Bragg to work at JSOC for a year.
Wait a minute. So how old were you when you got married the first time?
I was 30 years old when I got married the first time, which I
Okay.
thought was a
Yeah.
good idea because I'm like, hey, I waited all this time. I'm more
Yeah.
mature. This marriage is going to work. It didn't. So yeah, I was 30 when I got married. I was 32 when I had my first and only child. That was a great decision because, I think that a lot of people too young start to have children that you can't
Yeah.
quite afford. So I was happy with my decision to wait. The catnat in the chat, that all rhymes,
Yeah.
is super happy about Fayetteville and Fort Bragg. So I'm assuming you're from that area. My in-laws are still from there. So
So, do you want to say anything about your child? I don't want to go any farther than that. Do you want to tell us anything about him?
oh no, he's a great kid. His name is Winston.
Hmm.
He's 12 years old. He's about to be 13. He's about to be a teenager
Yeah,
here
he's gonna be
on
driving
June
next.
21st. Yeah, yeah, he's a great little guy. He's first started getting into the teenager thing where God, before we couldn't keep him in bed past 6:30 in the morning. Now he's starting to do the thing where he sleeps, where he stays in his room. He doesn't want anything to do with anybody.
Oh yeah.
He's just on his electronics.
Oh yeah.
But he's extraordinarily smart, and
You did tell me that.
he's into robotics.
Ooh.
So every robot kit that I can buy on how to build little robots to do different things, I'm going broke buying him all these robot kits
So he
that
builds
he
them.
builds.
Wow.
Yes, he builds them as fast as I can buy him robot kits. He's building them.
And you mean he's literally like he's not just putting models together; he's building robots.
Yeah, he
That do
looked well.
things.
They're
Yeah,
kits.
yeah, but they're
You got the instructions and everything, but he wants to go way far beyond that. He
wow.
wants to actually build like no shit robots. So my plan when I get back to the mainland from Hawaii is I found an online school that ships the kids the parts, and they have lessons each week, virtual lessons, and at the end of it, you have actually built a robot from scratch.
That's
So
amazing. He's gonna love that.
yeah, that's the story with Winston, and I agree, P. Barnes. Winston is an awesome name.
It is.
Yeah,
Classic
he's
name.
named after Churchill. I don't believe in having heroes, but if I did, Winston Churchill would be one of them.
I agree.
And he's named after another person who was pivotal in my young life, a youth minister that I had when I was a kid. So, two great names to name. Give my kid a great name. Plus, I hate all of the kids that are named Hunter and they're named Braden.
Yeah.
And like
Chad.
we have all we have all these, there's like trends where like in one classroom, 5 kids will have the same name.
No,
Like
yeah.
nobody's naming their kid Winston.
No.
So that's another reason why I named it that.
It's also a smart name. It's a very smart name. I like it.
Yeah.
So, like, personality-wise, would you say he's just like dad, or more like mom, or?
He's very loquacious. So if you get him started in a conversation, you're going to be there a while. He's going to tell you everything that he knows about everything. And
Yeah.
that's
cute.
Another funny thing about him is he and I don't do this typically except online in my online persona where I call people out. If you say something around him that's not right, he's going to call you out and he's going to tell you exactly why you're wrong. I remember one dinner where he told my dad, who's also a very opinionated person. My dad said something about women, and he got about a 30-minute lecture from Winston telling him why women deserve all of the same respect that a man gets, and why the country would be so much better if we started having women politicians and presidents.
Really?
And yeah, that almost went south, except for the fact that, grown people aren't allowed to hit kids. That's what kept Dad at bay.
Wow.
But, yeah, he didn't like being lectured to by an 11-year-old about women's rights, but
hey,
everybody else thought it was hilarious. But yeah, he'll call you out. He's done that to me multiple times.
Hey, I like that though. I like a kid who knows his own mind. I mean,
Yeah.
still be respectful, but it's good. It's good for that at least in the future when he's got to stand up and say something, he can.
Yeah, no, you don't have that with him. The only problem is getting him to Winston. Okay, calm down. All right.
Yeah.
We can stop talking now. Yeah, no, he's great.
Awesome. So, jumping around a little bit, but when you were in the Navy, and then, like, you said something about you had classified stuff, right? Is that in the Navy or now?
Both.
Okay. So what can you tell us? What can you tell us about what you did when you were in the Navy? Not so much.
Oh, I could tell you tons about what I did. I just can't get into specifics.
Right.
So during my enlisted days when I was working in avionics, so aviation electronics, I had a secret clearance there, and basically the way that worked was I was in intermediate level maintenance. So I worked in a shop, and when a plane would break or something would go wrong with the electronics on it, the electronics technicians would pull that module. We just called them boxes, an electronic component from the aircraft, and they would send it to us in the shop, and we would test it, find out what's wrong with it, fix it, and then we would send it back to the squadron. So yeah, I had a secret level clearance there, and then
how do those work? Is there like a hierarchy, like secret, top secret, super secret?
Yeah. Let me get into the basics of that real fast. So you can have just a confidential clearance, which is that's the lowest level security clearance, and then from there you go secret, and then top secret, and then top secret SCI. And the SCI means secured compartmented information, which means that just because you have a top secret clearance, you're not allowed to know this. You have to be read into a program. Then you're allowed to know things within that program that you need to know. And then when you're done with that program, you get read out of it. Sometimes you'll sign. You go into a room with some people. They tell you, okay, here's what this program is or this mission. uh, and they tell you what the scope of the mission is, and then once you're read into that program, you're allowed access to the things that you need to know about it. And then once you're done, you get debriefed. Then you're no longer associated with that. Sometimes you sign a confidentiality agreement, and then you're done with that. You no longer have access to that information. That's the very top level.
Okay.
Which is, I retired with a top secret SCI. I still technically have a top secret SCI, but at my civilian job that I have now, I only have need to know for secret information.
Okay.
So when I go get a security badge, like at Pearl Harbor, here where I'm at now, when I went to go get a Pearl Harbor badge to be able to get on the piers and everything, it's red, which means that I have secret clearance here.
Right.
But if you go into JPass, which is the computer system that says who has what, then it shows that I'm top secret SCI cleared.
Gotcha.
So if I ever had need to know for any of that, I could be read into programs, which I don't see any reason why that would ever happen. I'm pretty sure secret's all I need from here until I retire.
So yeah, you were there 22 years, and then you retired from the Navy. What then? Like, what made you decide to go into what you do now? What is it that you do now?
So when I first retired, and it was a terrible decision. Beverly Proudfoot in the chat's asking, do I ever go down to Kings Bay? You mean Kings Bay, Georgia, where submarines are? I have not been there for work yet. I'm pretty sure at some point I'm going to be down in Kings Bay.
Excuse me, one second. Tag Clifford. You're taking his job, dude. Let Clifford do the question.
I just looked up at the screen and saw it, so sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
But Beverly watches a lot of my videos.
Yeah, I know.
And she's active in the chat, so she deserved to get. She got special treatment. So let's see. When I was first getting ready to retire, you got to remember that for the past 22 years, I had not had to worry about a job, whether or not I was going to have a job, any of that. So I almost did a little bit of a panic when I retired and said, I cannot get to my retirement date and not have a job. So basically, I took the first job that came along, which was as I was writing instructional materials, computerized instructional materials. And that was based on the fact that I, for 3.5 years while I was in the military, was an instructor. And I had a certification as a master training specialist. So I did that. It was awful. It was the most boring desk job that you could ever think of. So
sounds like it.
When this job came along as an engineer, which is actually what I'm classically trained for with my time as an electronics technician and then my education as an electrical engineer, I'm way more suited to this. And there was travel involved. So my job now is, you got a hot mic there, Robert. It's just echoing in my ear like crazy.
Can you both please mute when you're not talking? Thank you.
That's way better.
Yeah.
So I travel from military base to military base, a lot of times to different shipyards, and I update electronic fire control systems on submarines. So almost everybody listening probably doesn't know what I say when I say fire control systems. It doesn't have anything to do with putting out like fires. It's fire control, meaning when we want to fire a missile at something, the electronic fire control system locks on to this thing that we want to shoot a missile at. So periodically, probably every 3-4 years, those systems get updated. And so we go on the submarine, we tear out all of the old electronic systems, and we install the new electronic systems, test them, make sure they work, and then the ship goes back into the fight.
Now, are you talking about both the guided missile subs and the ballistic missile subs?
Mostly I've worked on the 688 class, which is a hunter killer, and the Virginia class, which is another type of hunter killer. I haven't worked on the guided missile or ballistic subs yet. I'm sure at some point I will, but I've mostly worked on Virginia class submarines. So it's that's what I'm most familiar with. The job that I'm doing right now is on a 688 class hunter killer, which is a hell of a lot easier to work on, by the way. They're a little bit smaller than the Virginia class. The electronics is more simple to rip out and reinstall. But that's the job that I'm wrapping up right now here in Honolulu.
So why do they have civilians doing that instead of the Navy guys?
That's a really good question. And the answer to that is that we specialize in that. If you were to have a sailor trying to tear all the equipment off of his submarine and then reinstall the new stuff, he might do it once and then 5 years later might be trying to do it again. When we do this is our job. This is what we do. So my team, we can have this stuff removed off the ship in a couple of days. A sailor that's never done it, he's going to have to try to be figuring that stuff out that he's done for the first time. It's more, it sounds like it's less efficient to have civilians doing it, but it's actually more efficient because we're specialized in it.
But
Can I? Go ahead.
Even like when I meant not so much the sailors themselves doing it, but like a department, like you would have your own, little department. I don't know if it's called a department in the Navy.
Part of my answer would touch that actually. Can I add something, please?
Sure, go ahead.
So it's actually a huge part of the military industrial complex. They've been outsourcing to civilian and military contractors for years, just to stimulate the private sectors in those fields. Everything down to washing our clothes is done this way for military purposes. A big chunk of the work will be done by the soldiers themselves, but like Schrodinger said, more specialty and in-depth things that require specialist knowledge, because your average military soldier is a grunt of nature. He's trained to do repetitive tasks over and over again efficiently. But then there's the specialized systems like your guidance systems and your weapon systems, where people like Schrodinger and other military contractors will come in. And the answer is that it's more expensive to pay Schrodinger and them to come do it than it would be to have the soldiers do it. But it creates an entire field of work, and the work gets done better. The military has a company that they can hold accountable for the things working.
I get it. Thank you.
Think about this just real quick. If you've got a sailor that's on board a submarine, an electronics technician, for 5 years, his fire control system will probably get updated once.
Right.
So he would be doing that job once in 5 years. He would have to learn how to do it. In the 18 months roughly since I started working for this company, I've done probably 8 ships. So I'm way more well-versed in how to do that than somebody who from scratch is trying to learn how to do it.
Got it.
And that's why we can do it so much faster. We know every tool that we need. We can look at a component and tell you what it is because we've seen it so many times. It doesn't sound more efficient when you're first thinking about it, but once you do the cost-benefit analysis, it is more efficient.
Yeah, specialization. I get it. Okay.
Not to mention, one last little funny quip, not to mention the relief on the face of those soldiers you're talking about when they don't get hit with that booklet this thick. Hey, we need you to swap this out, and they don't know anything about it. Those guys don't want to see that either. So, there you go.
Okay.
Hey, Marvel, did you want to ask some of the super chat questions now?
Sure.
Okay. So not a Brad asked, how old was SC when he decided he wanted to work for the military?
I went to boot camp 6 months after my 19th birthday.
Cool. EMAC asked, does Schrodinger know how sexy he is?
Ooh.
Bow, chicka, bow, wow.
I keep hearing that, but I don't believe it.
Yeah, I've seen you. I don't think. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Just kidding. Oh god, that's funny. Go ahead.
Richard Norris for $20 asked, what is SC's day job? I think we touched on that. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much.
Gary had £5. He just says, for you, Marvel Girl.
Thank you, Gary.
The Cat Nat, $10, says, love all you guys. And then Vilified Freedom had 3 simple questions for $2.
All right.
He says, Chevy or Ford?
No, neither one. Mopar. Sorry, I had to say it. Go ahead.
I have a Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, and it's a badass truck. It's 6,000 pounds of badass.
But Chevy or
400
Ford?
horsepower.
So if you had,
If I had to pick between Chevy and Ford, I think you can't get more classic than the F-150.
Okay, but let me just say that my dad had a stripe kit company for the old muscle cars. We did the stripes on the Dodge Dakota. He had one of Carroll Shelby's limited edition ones. Just saying.
Cool. Okay, so then he asked, Glock or Smith & Wesson?
I do own a couple Smith & Wessons. I do not own a Glock, but my next purchase is going to be a Glock 19 because I just want one.
The compact 9mm?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like the full size. They're too hard to conceal carry.
I have a G23. I love it. I also have the Glock 45. I cannot. I've never held a weapon and shot a weapon for the first time that had a bigger impact on my feelings about that weapon. When I got my G23 and shot it, and I just unloaded the entire clip into a tree in the woods, and my hand didn't even move.
What
and
did
this is
a
40
tree
caliber.
ever do to you?
Huh?
What did a tree ever do to you? Doesn't that kill the tree?
No, it doesn't kill the tree.
Can't be good for it.
But it was a trash tree anyway. It was a pine.
Fuck is a trash tree.
I've never had a more quality feeling weapon. They have very few movable parts, which is less breaking. Smith & Wesson is a very reliable gun as well, but I'm in love with Glock.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
Last one. He says, Android or Apple?
Apple.
Yeah.
Woo! Thank you, buddy.
You.
I've got currently in my hotel room with me, I've got 2 Apple MacBook Pros and
Oh boy.
2 Apple iPhones.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm an Apple guy all the way around. I do have a Dell computer over there. That's my work computer.
That's mine, yeah.
I just think that they're more user friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I can keep a MacBook for 5, 6, 7 years, and it seemed like when I had PCs, every 2 years, the computer would get so slow that I would just end up having to go buy a new one.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I just don't have the issue with my MacBook. Of course, they're way more expensive.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of bang for your buck. I mean, the computer that I'm using to talk to you now costs $1,700, but it's about a year and a half old, and I'll probably have it for 3 or 4 more years before I have to upgrade.
Yeah, the thing is.
My question, bud.
The thing is, artists used to use Macs exclusively. Then um, the Dells and stuff started catering to us more. Still, though, if you ask any digital artist, they'll go for a MacBook. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like the Mac. I, it's it's just easier to use, and I don't have to restart it all the time.
Yeah.
Why doesn't already have a wrench in your
He
chat? What's up
doesn't?
with that?
Is he
No, he
on
doesn't have a
the other
wrench.
ones?
He's,
Who?
Is he on his backup channel? Because I thought he did.
yeah, it's Artie's corporate fiction. He's gray as he can be in there.
Oh
Yeah, we haven't.
shit! You're
Yeah.
right.
Um.
Sorry, Artie. That is weird.
Looking out for my friends over
Yeah,
here.
you are. There you go, Artie.
So here's a funny thing, babe. You know this. I am Apple as it comes, but I refuse to pay for their MacBook. I
Mhm.
and their computers. I just find them to be for the specs. Now I respect Apple because they innovate all of their own parts and everything is integrated to work together perfectly. That's why their machines are so good. But for the output and the specs that it comes with it, I don't think that it justifies the price difference. They're great machines though. They should be more expensive than their PC counterparts due to their quality of build. But I just don't think it's
Yeah,
worth the extra $1,000. You know.
they're not cheap. That's
Yeah.
definitely um, but that's definitely true.
All right. Before I get back to the questions, are there any more super chat questions?
No, that's it for super chats.
Okay. Let's
Thank you all.
get back to that. And now to more how we met on YouTube. What and why did you like made you start a YouTube channel? Like, what made you think of it?
Okay, so yeah, that's another good story. I started out just probably before I retired. It was after my last deployment when I was back at Dam Neck, back at the team, sitting at my desk half the day waiting to retire. Watched a lot of YouTube, and I saw this flat Earth thing, and like, what's this all about? And somebody had told me that it was, a parody. Somebody had, started this thing, and they tried to sound like they were really sincere about it. And I was like, well, that's hilarious. And then, so I started watching some of it to get a good laugh, and realized that some of these people seem like they're actually are serious. And so I started watching a lot of the stuff. I started watching non sequitur debates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I met, uh, I actually went on to a live stream with, I can't remember who it was, but I ended up talking to Team Skeptic and somebody else. And they said, "Oh, hey, you're from the military. You should come on the Veterans Weekly
Oh
show."
yeah, I remember that.
So I started going on the Veterans Weekly show, and those guys convinced me to start a channel. So I started a channel. I did a few videos about guns.
Hmm. Right. Wow. For a second, you should. They did. I think it should be back. I was. They said they couldn't hear me, so I put it back to the way I used to have it. Is that better, guys? At all? What? Let me see. All right, wait a second. What the heck? No, you're not. Let me check out what's going on here. Yeah, go ahead, hon. While I figure this out, if I can. Because apparently my fix with Radical didn't work. All right, so you guys aren't hearing us at all, or hearing him? What? Okay, let's try again. Let me go back to the way I had it then. Cliff, say something. Cliff? No, I can't hear them either. What the heck? Maybe it's me.
I was muted.
Whatever she did, she lost the ability to hear us.
Yeah. Can you hear us, Marvel?
She broke the cardinal rule, guys.
What? Don't mess with your settings?
Yeah, you don't mess with your stream
Okay,
settings.
we hear you.